Hi, everyone. Roger Knecht, President, Universal Accounting Center. Today, I'm actually going to be speaking with Steve Chase. He happens to be the owner and founder of Sequential Solutions. It's an accounting firm offering accounting services, and we're going to just kind of jump into this and really have a nice, fun conversation together. And Steve, I really appreciate you being with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, Roger, for connecting with me.
Yeah, this is quite good. We ran into one another at QB Connect and had a wonderful conversation there. One of the things that I thought was interesting is just hearing the successes that you had. So I'm proud to have you on the show. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to emphasize, first of all, your kind of introduction to accounting. How did it all get started? How did you become an accountant?
Oh, great question. Well, I would say that my roots go back to falling in love with bookkeeping back when I was 15 or 16. And kind of the interesting story of that was I was a Boy Scout, and one of the requirements we had to do a 90-day budget for a personal management merit badge.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. And so I actually took it upon myself to actually do it during a summer, and I was cutting yards and mowing yards, neighbors' yards. My dad let me borrow his lawnmower and gas, and I'd go around the neighbors and cut their grass. And I was making money babysitting, and I think I was 16. And I actually enjoyed writing the date, the dollars I earned, and then spending money with the baseball cards at the ice cream truck and the top 50s. And I just thought, this is really interesting. So I'm at 16 doing that. And then fast forward to actual bookkeeping. In 2008, my wife started a business, and it started with $5 dinners. And so she started having a recipe blog, cooking website where she was sharing meals and recipes, and it turned into, she was earning money doing that, and advertising turned into a site where she has customers, online memberships, monthly payments. And so we needed somebody immediately to do the bookkeeping. And so I was like, I want to do this. So I jumped in, 2 hours into it. I was brand new to QuickBooks Desktop, and we had to find a CPA, and the CPA gave me a couple hours of instruction. And it was there back in 2008 that I just was like, this is meant for me. I want to do this as much as I can. I just love the process of creating reports. And mind you that when I started bookkeeping, I didn't have any background in accounting. I did not go formally for a CPA. I'm not a CPA. I just discovered that, wow, there's something fascinating about creating a transaction that has three basic things: a date, a vendor, a customer, and a dollar amount, and of course the category with it. And really, I just had this spirit of curiosity of, okay, what is a balance sheet? I need to know what a balance sheet is. Why is it something like, why if we transfer money from our checking account to savings account, it doesn't hit the profit and loss? I just wanted to know that, so I started studying how to read financial statements. The profit and loss was brand new to me, and I was really fascinated by, if we do this transaction, it's going to hit the profit and loss. If we do this transaction, it'll hit the balance sheet. I want to know as much as I can, so I just really took it upon myself to later just study it and just be obsessed about how financial reports work, because I feel like if you really want to know a business, you really have to know the business language, which is accounting.
Well,
So
there is a lot in here that I'm enjoying this. One, your enthusiasm for it all is quite contagious, so that's quite obvious. Now, the other thing that I can point out is I think you're honestly the first person that's ever shared with me that Boy Scout experience. So this is kind of funny because I'm an Eagle Scout. I've done the merit badges. I know what you're referring to when it comes to that 90-day exercise, and so it's funny that in your own memory, you can reflect that far back to being 16 and having your own lawn care business, using your dad's lawnmower and such, and seeing how you enjoy the numbers and tracking them. And I thought that was great. That I can relate to that. That was kind of fun. But the other thing that's quite interesting, and this is quite common, is there are a number of individuals that their journey into the accounting profession does not begin with high school or college, getting a degree, pursuing it as a profession. It actually comes as a tangent to, they find employment, they start getting busy, and in your case, which a lot of people do, a spouse starts a business, and as she started the business, she comes and says, hey honey, I've got a great idea, I'm going to start a business. And you're like, okay, well great, how can I help? And she says, why don't you do the books? what that is so common, and yet that was your story as to how you became more and more acquainted with and became in love with the numbers and fascinated and intrigued by them. And I can sense it in your enthusiasm. It's very, like I said, it's contagious.
Yeah.
So now obviously you're working with QuickBooks Desktop. You're learning the differences between a balance sheet, a P&L, an income statement. All of a sudden the financial reports are starting to make more sense because you're literally diving in and becoming acquainted with them. So I'm kind of curious, where did that take you? Here you were, helping your spouse with her business.
Mm-hmm.
Why did it all of a sudden switch from here's something that I'm doing to helping to here's something I'm passionate and I'm excited about? Where did that transition happen to where now you're actually running an accounting business?
Yeah, so I had the privilege of working for a corporate trainer in a training position for 10 years before I started Sequential Solutions. And my day-to-day responsibilities was teaching folks how to use Microsoft Excel, Access, Word, PowerPoint, all the Microsoft Office. And I got to ride that wave from 2007 to 2017.
Okay.
And it was during those classes all the time that I was really getting a chance to dive deeper into the databases and teaching Excel and Access and really understanding how data works. And then luckily my manager prompted me with, hey, would you want to start teaching some QuickBooks classes? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And so I got about 5 years of experience teaching QuickBooks Desktop the last 5 years of my corporate gig. And that just opened up so much to me because I got, official curriculum, could go through the exercises, could teach others. And I found out that my student surveys, because every time I taught a class, you get a survey. My QuickBooks classes were always the highest by far. I got the most success, and it was also the most gratifying because I could go in and explain, hey, this is how you do it. And then they appreciated a bookkeeper that was actually a keeping set of books because my wife had three QuickBooks Desktop files that I was managing. And so it was great to be able to teach these classes, and I was learning so much, and I could go make the books, just much more better with my wife and really understand what I'm doing. And every year when the year end, my accountant was I just got so much better at it. And it was something that with bookkeeping, you can always learn and get better at how you're doing it.
All right. So what's that bridge then that took you from doing your wife's books, teaching QuickBooks, to now actually taking on clients and starting your company?
Yeah. So basically, it was the last 2 years of I was really struggling with this job here. I needed to get my salary up, basically. And so what it came down to is I loved the teaching gig. It was really fulfilling and satisfying. I was helping out lots of people across America, traveling all over the place. But I've got 4 kids, and just the salary, I hit my level. I actually was just so painful that I had reached capacity, unfortunately, with the salary. So, and I just saw that I could not continue on in support for my family. So during the last 2 years, Roger, I was secretly applying for other jobs and interviewing and scheduling all this time, like PTO, 30 days, 6 days in advance to interview and get really close, thinking that the answer was go find another job that could pay higher so I could support my family. But on the 5th no, it was pretty obvious to my wife and I that we could try something else. The Lord had other plans for us. So it was literally, she had been running her 3 businesses for all that time. She's always been like, you can do something. You can jump out and do something and create something on your own. So the thought was, I'm just going to jump off the cliff and go do it. And the funny thing was, I did not anticipate bookkeeping as an option. When I resigned, it was, Steve's going to do something, probably help out with website or consulting or some kind of something. I had no idea that bookkeeping would be the major revenue. So within about 2 weeks after resigning, this doesn't sound like a formula that you'd want to plan, but we got my first client from referral from my wife's, one of her friends that was the same industry. So her blogging friend, and I knew the industry really well, and so I was able to just do it. And then the cool thing was, at the time, I didn't. QuickBooks was offering certification for QBO course. I was like, I got to do this. So I did took it upon myself to get certified. Later became advanced certified. But I really just share that it was a matter of, I think some of the best creativity and best stuff comes out of pain and problems. And I was at a point in my life where I just needed to figure out something better to do with my life. And luckily for me, I actually had that courage and for my wife and my friends and family to go do it. But it actually formed into the bookkeeping and the training after it. And so, boy, I'll tell you, it was, looking back now, it's been the best thing. It's been so wonderful to do, but also very, you get your first client, and I think the hardest thing was, I had to say yes to Steve Chase. Steve Chase had to be the first. I had to believe in myself that I could do it. And slowly and surely just getting back on your feet and doing it, and you get your first client, and it's a wonderful experience. Then you can start to do another one. And so that's kind of my journey as far as it was painful going into it. It was not easy. It was not like, oh, today I'm going to start a bookkeeping business and training. It's going to be awesome. No, it was out of pain and frustration and really hitting my ceiling with, I knew I was more valuable because the students, I got awesome surveys all the time, but unfortunately, I think you have to find something from your experience and figure out what you are called to do in person and find it. And even if it's tripping over it. So I kind of tripped over it myself.
So one of the things that I think is very important here is there are a number of people that I work with that start their business with intention. They're deliberate. It's very calculated. These are the services I want to offer. This is what I want to do for my clientele. And it's very purposeful as to what they're doing. But your experiences, I think, is just as common. Some of the people that start their business isn't out of want, it's out of necessity. And oftentimes it's out of desperation. And sometimes there's a lack of clarity. It's anything and everything just because you're trying to redeem yourself. And whether it be a situation like your own where it's an employment change, how nice it was to have your spouse be supportive to basically say, I've got your back, let's do this, go ahead and take these risks. And I imagine it's similar to a scene in a movie. There's a movie called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and in it, where he's searching for the Holy Grail, he comes to a scene where he has to take a step off of a ledge, and it's over a chasm. It's over this vast abyss that he can't really see the bottom to, and yet he has to take this step of faith. And it's only then that he then finds that there was this path. And so I sometimes think it's very much like so many things in life. You oftentimes find yourself in a situation where you just need to take that step forward and trust and hope it will work out. And it is unnerving, it's scary, it's fearful. And that's why one of the things that we here at Universal Accounting Center stress is going through our programs and trainings that allows us to emphasize that you can be in business for yourself, but not be by yourself. You can get the mentoring and the support that you're needing to kind of take these challenging steps forward, but yet do so with some confidence. So I love this. So here's a question. Yeah. Now you're in business, you're up and running, you have clientele. Share with us a story that basically comes to mind of how you've helped a client. How has a client been better because of your services?
Well, yeah, so that's a great question. I always want to be able to leave my clients better off after they found me. And so I would say that the one story that comes in particular, how I've left some better off, is my first client. When they came to me, they were on GoDaddy, and I was like, is that even a thing? How can bookkeeping and GoDaddy? But apparently it was a thing. And just transactions all over the place, and just kind of just a fear of just overload of transactions and trying to get it to their CPA at year end. So basically, it's a common pattern that I see over and over again is I'm approached not because their books are in perfect order. They're drowning, and they're having some problems with just the organization of that. And so I just love being able to get going with, first off, most of my companies that I help out are cash basis. So for me, it's really fun and exciting to get their bank statements, PayPal statements, credit card statements, and just get them going into the these softwares like QuickBooks and Xero, they're just so powerful to be able to start classifying, coding, and all that, and just get the mess out and make it clean and organized. And I have to say that the one thing that is kind of unique about what I like to do is I like to have monthly calls with my clients. And I have about an 80% rate of every month my clients and I talk one-on-one like we're doing right now, but I'm screen sharing the profit and loss, and we're looking together, both four eyeballs at the same time, going through all the revenue accounts and the sales accounts and the expenses. And so what it becomes, Roger, is it's just this really enjoyable session where, first of all, I'm giving them a chance to breathe and get out of the weeds and just do a high level view of the summaries. And then I like to click and drill down and show the details. Not everyone needs to see all details, but for some people, it just blows their mind away how much money they're spending on software or subscriptions or payroll. And I think the success I'm bringing to the table is I'm helping encourage business owners to see what they're doing well. And I'm also giving them some painful points of, hey, look at this here, what they're doing. And it really gives them a chance to think and make better decisions in the future and plan better future tomorrow. So,
well, I love that you're actually taking the time to meet with your clients monthly. Too often I hear that there are accounting professionals that don't have that kind of contact and don't interact with their clients regularly like that. So I applaud you. That's definitely something we here at Universal Accounting Center stress is for client relations and, most importantly, client retention. That's how you ensure your lifetime value of your client is having that interactions and becoming for them that trusted advisor. So that's really, really good. So here's a question for you then. Here it is. You're now so many years into doing your business. You've got clients. What advice would you give to someone who is now in the process of actually starting their business? So they're back like you were a little while ago, and more importantly, they're trying to see, okay, I want to get to where you are, but I'm just starting. What advice would you give them? In fact, what advice would you give yourself back then?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important that you have to rely on your ears, and by that, just making sure you are listening very cautiously to your folks. So you get in front of as many people as you want around the groups that you like to interact with, and that includes just showing up at your library to offer to teach classes, how to refinance it. Showing up maybe at a chamber of commerce at a luncheon and just trying to sit by somebody you have no idea what they do, but just try to get to know them. But don't go with the purpose of trying to get a client out of it. You don't want to go to events. If it happens, wonderful, but you go to learn about other people and what they're doing, and you try to seek out opportunities by listening. And we have so much capabilities of reading great books and all that and learning all that. But really, if you got a mountain and everybody loves to look at the top of the mountain, but the money is at the base of the mountain where it's wide and valleys. It's easy to walk in. You can start to see people, and you got to be with people. You can't do this alone. And the second advice I would have is when you're new, you're not alone. I remember my first 60 to 90 days, I would have support with QuickBooks Online, and I would call them almost every day if I had any inkling of a question, just to hear another human voice. I know you can do the chat, but I recommend you make a phone call to a support person on your software, whatever you're doing, Google or OneDrive or somebody, and just talk and just see if you can just ask them a question. And when you're talking to another human being, they may give you some insights on how to do something or reveal something to that. There are times I'd call QuickBooks Online and I'd answer my own questions. I remember one time, ladies like, you just answered both of your questions. You don't need me. But I needed to call just to confirm that I thought I was doing the right thing as I was learning these new software. So yeah, that's advice is get as close to as many people as possible in your industry and keep your ears open to listen, because we've got an amazing journey ahead of us, and there's so many people that need help that you will be in a great position to figure out what it is that you can do. There's a lot of help.
The two things that I took from that: one, this is the people business. You've got to be with people. both with your peers, the accounting community, make connections there. I truly do enjoy going to the conferences and encourage everyone to also attend conferences just because there's a nice camaraderie that you'll get there. And as you're describing, this can be somewhat isolated or alone as a business. And so getting some mentoring or support is key. One of the things at Universal Accounting Center we really try to emphasize is the coaching and support that we provide, because it does really truly allow someone to be in business for themselves but not be by themselves, getting the mentoring that they're needing when they work with an accountant that actually has a thriving, successful business. So I like how you've described that. So here's the next question. You've got basically peers out there that, like you, already have clients. They already have business. They're doing fine. But it might be interesting to hear your perspective as to what you think they ought to consider or think of as they're in the process of now growing their business in the coming new year. What advice would you give to a peer?
Yeah. I would just say, keep it as simple as possible. And by that, I mean, it is so easy to get over commit yourself. And as you grow and mature, you start to feel, don't ever forget the humble days of just beginning out. And because I feel like we have to constantly remind ourselves that every day when we wake up, we have to do the best that we can. And that means that you can never not be afraid of saying, no, Mr. Prospective customer, we're not a good fit for you, because it's a little bit outside of our industry. The other thing is, let's keep believing in the dignity of business, and let's keep believing in that small business in America and around the world really prospers communities. And when a small business has a bookkeeper account connected with them, they're more successful, studies show. And so keep believing that your value that you're providing a small business to grow, and them being able to is truly helping out families, communities, schools, and organizations. So that is so important, that we don't ever lose sight of believing in the dignity of business and keeping it simple with just the foundations. Always stay true to the principles of integrity, honesty, and when something in your gut, because there'll be lots of opportunities that come up that come on your plate, and when something seems a little bit too good to be true, or just a little bit outside the comfort zone, have some good judgment and have an advisor, have somebody that you can kick some ideas around with, elders, parents. It's honorable to ask elders and older generations about some advice, because you just don't want to start playing a game where I'm flying the airplane by myself. You need to surround yourself with peer accountability and so forth. Yeah.
Good. So I've got two things from that, and perhaps even a third. The first thing is don't become complacent. Once you've got the clients, once you're in business and you're doing well, stay engaged, stay committed. Don't become complacent and let what you have slip away from you. So that's, I think, excellent advice. I do actually know of some accounting professionals that became very lackadaisical about their work and chose to just become indifferent to their clients. They were making the money, doing the work. It got to be too easy for them. And because of that, they just got complacent, and then they ended up losing clients, and the thing just quickly unraveled. But the second piece of advice I thought was really good. It's basically remain integrous with your work. We do make a difference with business. And if we provide the quality services that we should, it really can improve the clients that we are working with, both them professionally and personally. So that was really good advice. Now, here's something. Where do you see the accounting profession going in the coming years? What do you think's on the horizon? What's next?
Okay, so I am very optimistic about the accounting profession, but I do fear that there's going to be some really big battles between the giants. And when I say the giants, I'm talking about the QuickBooks and the Sages and the Xeros as far as their accounting platform, and new disruptors coming into scenes like Square could be an accounting platform that's coming down the ways. And it's going to be a battle between the APIs. When I say APIs, an API is the connection between a software so that they can talk to each other. So, for example, in order to get bank feeds coming in from Chase Bank to QuickBooks, an API is connected to it. Where I see concern is a huge disruption of fights between software company A and software company B that get in a fight, and suddenly they break the API and now it's closed. So therefore, if your ecosystem was relying 100% on this software to provide the data to you and then it's broken, we might have clients that are going to be scrambling to figure out an alternative solution to get their data and the record keeping. Now, I do think that that with all these great apps coming around, there's great opportunity, and I'm just thinking that there's going to be a disruption of these ecosystems of apps, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they play out. But I think it's smart in the accounting profession is to be just very nimble and be very capable of being able to move in the right direction. So we have no idea which are going to be the winners for the payroll providers in the next year, 10 years, or the bill pays, or just inventory management, whatever software industry you are. We're going to have such deep connections to these applications that are making our work so much easier. And so that's great, but I think we just have to be extra cautiously prepared so that if there is a disruption in those APIs, so suddenly you have to scramble, we have to be in a position where we want to definitely pick the right winners for the software, but at the same time, be keeping your ears open to make sure that competitors that come in might have a better product to service. So it just gets to me, just this major, messy connection of data points are all connected, and one thing goes down, it can affect that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the industry is going in the next 10 years, it's going to be very, very fast moving and fast paced with AI and computers. And I think it's great, but I also think that your number one advantage is the human touch. Being able to be somebody that's client facing, that likes to talk with clients, is going to be such a skill and asset that they will stay with you even if you recommended a software provider that's now out of business. And so you're now having to figure out, how do we get their data switched over and migrated to another competitor now, or a merger. So that's one. And I guess the second thing is the certifications and the actual knowledge skill sets. We're more so than ever going to need to be working with bringing on team members to our platforms and getting them trained specifically towards a specific. But I think that the real winners are going to be those that have tremendous curiosity and grit. And even though they scrape their knees through these disruptions of APIs, they still figure out a way to work it out or pave a new way. But the ultimate thing is we can never lose our trusted advisor role. We have to be, the number one thing is we have to be trustworthy. And if you're a bookkeeper accountant that's known for trust, your clients are going to tell 5 other people. And it's just the way that this business is going to run. So I'm excited. It brings me hope about the accounting future. I just know that if you're doing your job and you're staying true to your core values and mission, vision, that you're going to have a purposeful business. Yeah.
So those two things, I think, are very, very astute on your part to notice them. The first one that you had brought up was technology. Obviously, it's the fact that in the coming years, there's going to be changes. And what I'd like to say is, you started that whole point by saying you were optimistic. And I applaud you for that, because it isn't anything to become concerned or frustrated or scared about. It's something you just need to be aware of and conscious of, because I do truly believe that accounting is accounting, and nothing more than these apps are basically tools. They're resources to help us do our work more efficiently. And so if, as you described, one of them were to change, go out of business, stop working, it doesn't mean your job stops. It just means that the tool you're using needs to change or adapt, because you're still needing to get the transactions to produce the financial reports. And so these third-party applications that you're bringing into your business to help you do this for your clients may just need to evolve. So if you got addicted or are very comfortable with a particular solution, And that disappeared because their business model didn't work and they no longer existed for one reason or another. You just need to be adept enough to then be able to change and find that replacement, which there will be one. There's going to be a void and it will get filled. The second thing that you pointed out were certifications, credentials. I strongly believe in those. I'm biased. Universal Accounting Center is an accounting school. We're training professionals in accounting to have the confidence and the competence to do the work. And so just being able to YouTube something and learn it on a whim isn't sufficient. You need to have the credentials, as you said, to really differentiate yourself and your services from the competition. And you need to be able to offer quality services. And whether it be for yourself individually or your staff, getting quality training, that's important. And that's one of the things that we strive to do here at Universal Accounting Center is give you and your staff, your team, the credentials, the trainings that are needed to help you actually become the premier accounting firm in your area. So I loved how you described the need to become still that trusted strategic advisor with the proper credentials and training. So here's my thing. What last parting thought would you like to share? This has been wonderful. Is there anything that you'd like to just kind of end with?
Yeah, so I would just say that never give up on yourself, knowing that if you're intentional and wake up in the morning and are seeking to serve others, you're going to figure it out. It has to happen. It just might not be the way you thought it was going to happen, and that's okay, because I think that so many times we put a ceiling on our heads, thinking that would be great if I could do it, but be prepared to blow right through that. Is what I would say. Is there's with parting thought is, yeah, this is a huge world, but it's all connected. We're all interconnected with human to humans, and so the more time that you can get yourself talking to others and connecting with others, obviously it just gives yourself more opportunity to be there. Just showing up, it is just such a huge first step for anybody who's just not quite sure they can do it themselves. It's like, yeah, it can seem like a giant mountain to climb, but you just do it little by little.
I appreciate your positive mindset. You're very optimistic. You're very much one of faith and endurance, and I like that. Those are some good qualities to have, and I think they're essential. We talk of becoming an accountrepreneur, and I think those are the elements that really make that possible, is when you have that kind of outlook as you're starting and growing your business. So well said. So Steve, thank you so much for being here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put some information in the description below regarding a few of the things that we've discussed, such as the trainings that came up, the certifications that are available. And also what I'll do is I'll actually put some information down below as to how you also can start as well as build your own successful accounting bookkeeping business, and do so confidently as well as competently. This is something that we definitely strive to do with our people. And when we work with accounting professionals to help them do exactly that, the goal is always to build the premier accounting firm in your area. So with that, just understand this: if it's about accounting, it is universal. So take care, and thanks again, Steve.
You're welcome. Thank you.